Like many people who are new to tarot card reading, I was immediately daunted by the task of learning the meanings of all the cards. I chose to start with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck because of the well-known symbolism on the cards, which makes it perfect for learning the art of tarot reading. It is simply one of the most commonly referenced decks, so if you have a question about any of the meanings of the cards, there's a wealth of information regarding this deck that's freely available online. It makes learning the Rider-Waite-Smith deck much easier. It's a great place to start. Still, there are 78 cards to learn and memorize, and that can seem like a daunting task at first. It seems like a lot of work. But I have a system that makes it really easy and intuitive. Before I start, though, I want to give a shout out to eclectictarot.com. I use their site frequently as a reference point, as well as the Rider-Waite booklet and tarotpedia.com. From these sources and others, I created my meanings for the 56 cards of the minor arcana. With this, you can get a really good handle on the cards within an hour or so. So for those of you who are more visual learners, prefer video and audio to books and websites, I made this for you, and I think you will find that my system and concepts make it really easy. So let's get started. First off, we divide the cards into two sets, the major and minor arcana. The major arcana consists of 22 cards. In the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, 1 is the Magician, 2 is the High Priestess, 3 is the Empress, 4 is the Emperor, and so on. Why is this important? Because each of those cards relate to the cards of the minor arcana. So the Hierophant relates to the 5s, the Lovers to the 6s, the Chariots to the 7s, 8 is Strength, 9 is the Hermit, and 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. So right there, when doing a tarot reading, you will already have 2 pieces of information to draw upon for any number card that comes up. You'll have 2 different ways of interpreting it, based upon the card itself, and also upon the card of the major arcana to which it relates. For this reason, we're going to cover the first 10 cards of the major arcana and look at them in light of how they influence the interpretation of the minor arcana. I'm also going to discuss the significance of the numbers themselves. That way, if you choose to use a deck in the future that doesn't have all the pictures drawn on them for the minor arcana, you'll still know what to do. And after I'm done with the minor arcana, that'll leave us with only 12 other major arcana cards remaining to learn. And I actually have a pretty cool system for those too. I think that when we get into them, you'll be really surprised how they relate to each other. Now, each card may represent one or more of 4 things. It may represent a person, who will often be identified by occupation or role, as suggested by the suit's traditional representation of a particular class of people within traditional medieval life. The second thing it may represent is an external concept, which reflects the world that surrounds the querent, or their perception of the world. The third is an internal concept, something of a feeling, emotion, belief, or idea within a person. And the fourth is an activity or action. So let's look at the 4 different suits and see what they mean. The swords. Historically, the nobility was represented by the swords, which were very expensive items in those times, indicating control and power over others. They were wielded by powerful men, those of influence, those whose words alone could change the worlds as we know it. So in indicating a person, the swords may refer to someone of high birth, leadership, or power. As an external factor, swords represent an implement of power and change. Swords may indicate a situation which is changing, perhaps violently, be it physically or emotionally, around the querent. Internally, they may refer to sharp logic, painful lessons, a school of hard knocks, mental thoughts or ideas of a revolutionary nature, big plans, your evil plans, dreaming big, big ideas. In terms of activities and actions, the swords may suggest the historical intellectual pursuits that were deemed a luxury of the wealthy, such as debate, creativity, and the sciences, higher education. The wands. Historically, the wands represent the middle class, the merchants and tradespeople, as well as those who have attained certain comforts within their life. Note that in every image the wands are sprouting leaves, new growth, echoing the growing affluence of this class of people in history, those who are upwardly mobile. The wands and swords, while both being capable of being used as a weapon, are of a different quality. Whereas swords serve a single purpose, the walking stick or staff or wand serves multiple purposes. It can support tired legs on a journey. It can be used to defend yourself. And in the case of a wand, it can be used for magic or just for pointing at stuff. It's a multi-purpose tool for those who are not rich enough to own a dozen different sticks for different purposes, but have the leisure and ability, nevertheless, to make use of such devices for their own enjoyment or protection. The rising middle class. As an external factor, wands suggest struggle and hardship, endurance. However, this doesn't necessarily indicate a struggle. Surely a long walk or a journey, staff in hand, need not be a hardship. It can be a luxury. These struggles are not fights against enemies or oppressors, but are much more likely to be internal struggles or challenges that we take on for ourselves, for our own benefit. As an internal factor, wands suggest enthusiasm, grand ideas, passion, desires, restlessness. As staffs or bats, they may suggest combativeness, hot tempers, challenges, minor struggles, athleticism, or competitiveness with others. Internally, walking sticks, staffs, wands, and all those things are used to change the world around us, but in a less emotionally violent way than the swords. They do so without the fear that a sword brings, but with the understanding still there that the holder of a wand or staff carries with him or her a certain power. Internally, they may represent travel from one mindset to another, persuasion towards a different viewpoint, or persuasion in a way which is less turbulent than the swords. In terms of activities or actions, the wands represent travel, adventure, wanderlust, athleticism, basically any activity that could be described as leisure or a leisurely pursuit. The cups. Historically, the cups represent religious figures, but are also understood to represent those for whom you have a deep love, feel a great passion. I once heard someone say that love is like wetting your pants. Others can see it plainly, but only you can feel the warmth. That's what these cards are about. Not necessarily romantic love, although it could be, but those people who stir deep, passionate emotions within you and create the experiences that impact your heart. Someone like a relative, a very close friend, or someone with whom we share a deep bond of our spirits or hearts. As an external factor, think of a cup as the heart of others, being empty or full of love or spirit. The cups represent things which will fill or empty one's spirit or soul. The things or people who move men's hearts, the things in which they find passion and strength, shared experience amongst others. As an internal factor, the cups are about romantic or poetic ideas, things that appeal to our heart and our spirit. It is your inner drive or passion, the thing that moves you forward when you're feeling down. The cups can relate to a humble spiritualism, a search for beauty or divine love. The spiritual, the emotional, and particularly the emotions that are identified with love, such as sorrow, bliss, passion, nostalgia. In terms of activities or actions, the cups indicate someone or something with which the heart is vested. It could be their passionate hobby or work, or a person for whom you have a passion. The pentacles. The pentacles are sometimes called the coins. Historically, they relate to the common person whose mere existence consisted of little more than the day-to-day concerns of life. The ones who could not travel, We're more concerned with putting food on the table than dreams of wondrous travels and adventures. This is about the people possessed of regular, mundane, and ordinary, earthly and physical concerns. These are the cards of the pragmatic, hard-working person, maybe paid well below their worth, but also possibly the person who sabotages their long-term future with indulgences in meaningless luxuries or trivial things that take them away from the path of the common person. The pentacles may also represent someone with who your relationship revolves strictly around such concerns as these. Someone like a beggar, a banker, a thief, a person who comes around and makes your life more comfortable or more miserable in small ways which don't drastically alter who you are as a person, but are appreciated or not nonetheless. They also represent the long, slow path to wealth, or to truly long-lasting relationships. As an external factor, the pentacles involve issues of money, possessions, shelter, the physical well-being. Material wealth, a pension, long-term investments, our land, our home. Pentacles or coins also represent our social interactions and responsibilities, as these too are things that we expect to evolve over time and extend and hopefully flourish throughout our life. They may indicate wealth, poverty, physical possessions, attainment of friendships, social groups, slow, steady growth or development. As an internal factor, the pentacles involve issues of generosity, greed, sharing. They indicate a sense of hard work, our work ethic, the things we feel compelled to do not out of passion or ego, but simply to put food on the table and to make ends meet, or to maintain our own health, physical well-being. They may reflect our common day-to-day concerns of bills, health, and a steady future. In terms of activities or actions, the long, slow path to wealth or truly lasting relationships, with the pentacles or coins, we consider that which enriches us and that which enriches others. It is the day-to-day tasks we face in the hope of creating something of long-term substance, value, and meaning. This concludes my overview of the suits. Pretty simple, right? Next, I'm going to show you how to easily and deeply understand the meanings of all 56 cards in the minor arcana. Along the way, you'll find yourself picking up almost half of the major arcana as well, with no extra effort at all. First, I'm going to break down the 56 cards into 14 groups, the aces, the twos, the threes, and so on. So instead of having 56 cards, you only have one set of 14 cards, each with 4 different suits, and a card of the major arcana as an influence over those cards. You already know the suits. Now it's just a matter of learning the 14 cards and their relation to the major arcana. And luckily, the cards all have pretty pictures on them to help you along. So allow yourself to relax if you can remember how to do that. Enjoy the process, because it's not often that you get to learn this much from a single YouTube video. The aces. In tarot, aces are the ones. They relate to the magician. The magician stands behind his altar with all the suits in front of him. We see the swords, wands, cups, and pentacles. Why? Because the magician is the creator of idea and thought. He is the one through which everything begins. This is not the physical creation, that's the Empress. This isn't about the breathing life into ideas, but the very inception of them within the human mind. The aces are the root or the beginning of every suit. As such, it should be pretty intuitive that they symbolize the very first kernel of a new beginning in some aspect of the querent's life. Not the beginning of work, but the very first inkling of a thought that perhaps something should change, perhaps for the better. The magician is the one who conjures ideas and inspiration from our mind, as if by magic. To me, there's something weird about this idea, and it's really hard to explain, so listen carefully here. The magician will conjure a thought for you, and he asks the impossible question: what type of new thought would you like to receive? What seed shall I plant in your mind? Well, how can you answer that? Obviously you can't. The aces represent these types of beginnings that come from some strange, fuzzy, or hazy place in our mind that we are scarcely aware of. They are the exposure and the beginning of adoption of a new idea or way of being or thinking. The Ace of Swords represents awakening, a beginning to new, large challenges. There may be an awareness of the querent that there's a new challenge or a new goal of epic proportions that is ahead of them. They may just be beginning to see the challenge, or they may have just begun to work towards or away from this occurrence, radically altering their action in light of this new idea or influence. The Ace of Wands represents a new passion. It could be religious, philosophical, relating to a career about which they're passionate. It could be a new journey, a new battle to overcome, or a new love in their life. Remember, a new love is about passion. As we already know, wands relate to that which we're passionate about, so it's pretty intuitive, right? Ace of Wands represent a new passion somewhere in the querent's life. The Ace of Cups represents new love. This could be romantic love, or deep passion for an endeavor or idea. They feel the pull. They are intrigued, excited, looking forward to the new, not just with their eyes, but with their hearts. They feel the pull towards something new and exciting. It captures their imagination and dreams. The Ace of Pentacles. New luck, new health, new prosperity. Not flashy or ostentatious, nothing short-lived or illusory. The Ace of Pentacles represents new but solid gains to be made in one's physical self or the physical world around them. These are long-lasting changes such as new friendship, new prosperity, or newfound health. The Twos. The Twos relate to the High Priestess. The High Priestess card shows her seated between two pillars marked B and J. This represents the word and phrase inscribed upon the pillars in King Solomon's temple. Those words are Boaz and Yakin. Although this may not tie in completely squarely with the Jewish theology, the words can loosely be understood to stand for strength and unity. And there's a cloth behind her depicting pomegranates, a sign of prosperity and ambition to the Egyptians, and a symbol of death and the afterlife to the Greeks. The High Priestess holds a scroll, is the keeper of secret knowledge. She holds down the moon, a symbol of mystery, beneath her foot. She does not represent creation, but rather inspiration, the middle ground between the idea supplied by the magician and the creation which will be inspired by the Empress. The number 2 suggests a duality, a point between two choices, a fork in the road, a decision as to whether or not a new path will be taken. Twos are the fork in the road. Do you follow the path which takes new ideas into fruition, or do you take the other route? The twos also represent instinctual wisdom. The twos are undirected energy, pure potential, waiting to be channeled into a new direction. Do you dare to explore your options? The Two of Swords shows the image of a blindfolded woman with crossed swords, suggesting a clash of ideas or words. Remaining impartial, she holds the swords apart. The querent may feel in the middle of something, caught between two warring people or two warring ideas within their mind. Not choosing sides, the Two of Swords remains in the middle, at that crossroad or fork, possibly being torn between the two choices. The Two of Wands shows the image of a man standing with the world in his hands, but it isn't the world as a whole, it's his personal world. He stands between the two wands, his eyes looking exactly between the world he holds in his hands and that which lies beyond. Again, it's a struggle between choices, a journey to be set upon, not for fear, not for love or necessity, but for its own sake. The Two of Cups shows two people together, sharing, with one figure taking the cup of the other, an exchange. A friend or acquaintance coming together, an unexpected meeting which can change your course or direction. In the background you see the intertwined snakes, the caduceus. The symbol represents the Roman god Mercury, who is said to watch over the trades. It's a recognized symbol of commerce and negotiation. Knowledge of the trades, practical skills, writing and eloquence. So really the Two of Cups has a wide swath of interpretation. Coming together, brotherhood, tradespeople, opportunity, sharing, changing direction. The Two of Pentacles, or coins, shows the image of a man juggling two pentacles or coins, trying to keep the other from falling, with the balls being tied to a symbol of infinity. The juggler is balancing the physical aspects of his life, be they health, finances, or perhaps security. The man seeks to maintain the balls in motion, constantly making choices to keep his life in balance. The Threes. The Threes relate to the Empress. The Empress card depicts a woman, likely pregnant, seated comfortably and lavishly in a field. She represents fertility, not just for human life, but a fertility of ideas and other creations as well. Where the magician provided the spark and the high priestess gave that spark space and time to develop into a full idea, the Empress is the start of bringing that idea, that spark, to fruition. No longer merely thoughts, action begins with the Empress. The Empress is the great mother, the understanding sympathizer, the one who brings all things forward into the world and helps them mature and develop. So while the twos were about a choice or a fork in the road, the three symbolizes the beginnings of taking action. This could be the creation of life, romance, art, or business. This is the first affirmative steps towards the new beginning. We have chosen the path to take, and we've begun upon it. We draw strength. Threes are about starting to put things into action. The Three of Swords depicts a pierced heart upon the backdrop of a storm. The Three of Swords may reveal heartache or pain, whether it be from love or from the disillusionment with a closely held and highly personal belief or feeling. As the swords relate to matters of power and strength and change, the thrice-pierced heart reflects the death of something which is closely held, and relates to those things of great importance and likely great impact on our public persona. The Three of Wands depicts a man arriving at the edge of his land. He grasps one of three wands as he takes in the sights that stretch out over the horizon. He realizes the journey has just begun, but there is still time to turn back, though not for long. The Three of Wands involve embarking upon a journey, reaching the point where you cannot turn back. It is a card of progress, the first hint that a dream may become real. However, the journey has only begun. The Three of Cups depicts three maidens celebrating. Being the suit of passion, they are celebrating a joyous occasion, and three being the number of action, it's a new beginning. You are embarking upon an endeavor of the heart. This could signify a birth, a new year, a new passion, or a new opportunity for your passion. The Three of Pentacles, or coins, depicts a craftsman or tradesman showing his work to his patrons, the people who pay for his work. Being a card of new beginnings, this may suggest further opportunity for the craftsman. Something you have begun to work on will soon pay off. Your work will be rewarded. Being in the suit of pentacles or coins, this relates to an earthly concern. It could be a focus on your health or your property, or the work on a relationship. New beginnings stemming from past work or effort. The Fours. The Fours relate to the Emperor, signifying stability. The image of the Emperor depicts the Emperor upon his throne, ram's head suggesting Aries, a symbol of strength and great plans. He is the father figure, a man of strength who provides stability, structure and order, power and protection. At his best, he's a wise leader. At his worst, a despot. Like the four corners of a building, which are set out from the beginning, the fours represent the investment of passion, emotion, brain power, and work that is now rooted and established. Think of the cornerstone of a building. Before it can be grown to great heights and strength, the groundwork is first laid. This is the hard work needed to create a solid foundation upon which to build. Or perhaps like an unfinished structure, something that has to come to a halt and cease to evolve before too much effort is wasted. The Four of Swords depicts a man resting, a sword at his side, and three upon the wall. As the story goes, before embarking on battle, knights would commission a sarcophagus to be made for them in the event of their death. Upon their safe return, the knight would lay in that coffin, offering a prayer to God in thanks for his safe return. They would use that time to reflect upon the nature of their mission, whether they served well, being aware that, but for fate, it could have been them dead in that coffin. This card suggests making peace and relaxation, stepping away from the swords and the battles, reflection upon what truly matters in your life, refocusing your objectives. The Four of Wands depict a minor celebration. While the wands themselves combine to form a weak foundation set safely and decorated outside of the city walls, this card suggests success, but with further work to be done. This is not a great feast or celebration, but the recognition of a minor triumph. As such, the celebration continues, but it must be remembered that there is more work to be done. The Four of Cups depicts a man sitting comfortably beside himself beneath a tree, dissatisfied and bored with the outside world, lost in thought and ignoring the gifts that are set before him. It is a dissatisfaction with the gifts one has, and also stagnation, the refusal to look beyond yourself. We act this way when we take the good things we have for granted, refusing to acknowledge its goodness. The Four of Pentacles depicts a man clinging tightly to that which he has, not investing or sharing or developing it, not holding it with joy or pride. It's a card which suggests holding back, not speaking or sharing the details or rewards of your efforts. The good news is that the querent is in a position of status, health, money, or comfort. Business may be good or stable, work is steady, and money is in the bank. However, the bad news is that they may be holding on too tight, be too afraid to share what they've gained, afraid to take a chance. This is also the card of hoarders and pack rats, jealous relationships, shut-ins, agoraphobics. It reminds the spendthrift or the shopaholic to hold on to their money, the workaholic not to take on more jobs, and it also reminds the miser to be more generous with good luck and good fortune, and suggests that holding on too tightly to what you have can lead to stagnation and dissatisfaction. The Fives. The Fives relate to the Hierophant, a high priest. He sits perched upon his throne as two other holy men kneel before him. We see here a man who leads his flock in shared communal rituals. Remember, he's the leader of a flock, not of individuals. The Hierophant focuses on the group, leading them to their destiny, soothing their worries and fears. His power comes from tradition and consistency, providing his followers with comfort through stability. He represents also mercy and goodness, compassion, inspiration, and alliances. Fives are about instability and loss, severity and fear. If you picture the four corners of a building, like we described with the fours, you can see that if there's any space inside, the fifth stone cannot be supported in any symmetrical way. That fifth stone might lie in the middle of an empty space or be placed upon another stone, creating dissymmetry. Some loss of the perfection we had as fours is represented by the fives. But clearly it's not a total loss. Progress continues to be made, but there are periods of struggle, times when things don't align. This is the time for the fives, but fives also remind us of the strength that is gathered from these difficult times. They present a severe problem and also point to a way of escaping it. Give up or continue building? Dealing with this upset in the development of our passion or emotion, idea, or work humbles us, it teaches us, and matures us. It is, however, not a pleasant experience, and our pride, especially, is likely to suffer, but it strengthens us nevertheless. The Five of Swords depicts a man successful in battle, watching his vanquished foes depart. The card depicts winners and losers. That they were all equipped for battle indicates that this was not a game played by novices, but rather a competition of importance. The winner holds their swords in his left hand, his own sword, now at rest, being held to the ground. He has clearly defeated others, as is shown by the other swords on the ground. He is overconfident. This card serves as a warning against pride and overconfidence. The losers, departing disarmed and in disgrace, shrink away into the distance. What lessons will they take away from this? Had they been tricked into a losing battle? Did they let their own overconfidence shield them from the realities they face? Either character might represent the querent. Whether the querent is winning or losing, this card serves as a warning against overconfidence and the dangers of rushing in too soon. The Five of Wands depicts children of a younger age engaged in play and mock fighting. The activities of youth, which teach the beginnings, serve as the training for more serious pursuits. Imitation, a sham fight, a quest for achievement. The competitors in this card are of equal stature and position. This is not a struggle against Goliath, but rather a struggle against those on equal footing. The inexperience and apparent lack of consequences may appear to make this game even unimportant. However, as we saw with the Five of Swords, it is from winning these small battles that the opportunity is gained to partake and excel in the greater ones. The Five of Cups depicts spilled cups, a man in black, sobbing sorrow over their emptiness. His back is turned away from the cups that remain standing and full behind him. Relating to the cups, a sign of passion, we see brokenheartedness and disappointment. However, this card can serve as a reminder that when you turn your back on emptiness, you can find fulfillment. This card might be related to the idea of crying over spilled milk, particularly when that milk pertains to the way we invest in our passions with our efforts. Loss is perhaps the most painful when we turn our back on those things that we once loved and focus only on the things that are gone. This card also signifies one who's received less than they had expected. The Five of Pentacles, or coins, depicts a couple, cold, poorly clothed, exposed to the elements, and injured or lame. They pass by a church with an opulent stained glass window. They do not stop in to warm up. They do not seek alms. They pass by. But why? Remember that fives reflect upon difficult times. The characters on the card may be shunned from the congregation or viewed by society as unfit. But notice, they remain together. The pentacles relate to material possessions, wealth, and health. The two people in the card remain together. It is a card of misery, but also one of hope and a reminder of the constant support of others who surround you at any moment in time. It is a reminder that true friends, true partners, will stand by you and weather the storm. Rejected by one society, they have now created their own. It may be very small, a society of two for now. And others who are similarly situated may not seem to be close by. But if you seek them out, you will find them. The potential for loss may be devastating. But as this card depicts, you can never lose everything. The Sixes. The Sixes relate to the lovers. The card depicts the lovers, a snake temptation in the background, a divine spirit with open hands above them, a radiant sun. The card is not so much about two people, however, as it is about one. The person who has the experience of love feels the passion and desire for another, be it another person or another endeavor or goal. In this way, the lovers are about that feeling inside you that allows you to know something with absolute certainty, even when it may not be entirely certain. It's that instinctual drive we create within ourselves from the most intense and mysterious desires. It is falling in love with something or someone. Now, just as the fives lost their balance with asymmetry, the sixes regained them. Two lovers, each with a heart, a mind, and a body, 6 parts between them, representing the coming together of the parts. They indicate a return to harmony and balance after a time of frustration and strife. Finding balance, equilibrium, a soulmate, just someone or something that balances your life, that you feel completes you. The Six of Swords depicts the beginning of a voyage. This could be a literal or figurative voyage. The relationship between the oarsman and the passengers is symbiotic, the oarsman receiving a fare, the passenger attaining safe passage. Note, however, that the cargo consists of the swords, symbolic of carrying one's troubles or challenges along. However, the path is moving forward. They are on their way to finding balance and harmony, as the number 6 suggests. The oarsman represents a guide or a leader taking the others in the right direction, avoiding the dangers. This could be a counselor, partner, or perhaps a book in which the querent finds comfort, leading towards the moment that they arrive at the other shore. This is a happy journey, a positive one, but it is not without its dangers. Although the shore is in sight, they have not yet arrived. There is an equilibrium, but it is not necessarily smooth sailing to get there. The Six of Wands depicts the triumphant arrival. A man on horseback, his staff adorned with a wreath signifying victory and achievement. People surround him, staffs high in recognition of his accomplishment. He has achieved not only victory, but adoration of those who surround him. However, it is important to understand that this victory parade is illusory. While the recognition may be deserved, it is not going to be long-lived. Indeed, parades are not given all the time. It's a special occasion to celebrate, perhaps, but as the laurel wreath around his head may remind us, a man cannot rest on his laurels. The pomp and circumstance will soon be gone. It is not lasting, and the triumphant person does not exist for accolades. The work must continue. So savor the moment, but do not forget the work that brought you here. The Six of Cups depicts 2 children surrounded by 6 flowering cups. They are full and lush. The older child has her arms outstretched, sharing the joy with the younger. This card is a card of nostalgia or memories or simple pleasures, particularly of sharing those joys with others. This may represent an idea from our past which brings us pleasure, or a person from whom we derive mutual joy. However, like all the sixes, this too is a temporary, fleeting moment. It will not last. It serves as a reminder to enjoy the moment, savor it, but be aware that more challenging times may lie ahead. The Six of Pentacles, or coins, depicts a man with scales in his left hand, giving to others. Contrast this with the Five of Pentacles, with the couple shut out from the inside. Understanding the emotions of these characters reminds the querent of both sides of generosity, giving or sharing when you can, and also the relief that comes from receiving when in need. This card challenges the querent to identify their position, assess what can be given by them, and also what is being offered to them. Choose to make a positive difference, but also not let pride get in the way of someone who is able to help them if they should find the shoe on the other foot. The Sevens. While the sixes lend themselves to passion and desire, the sevens create instability again. Now, are you noticing the up and down nature of the cards yet? How much it's like life itself, where we cannot recognize its ups without experiencing the downs? The cards are almost like a roller coaster ride. With the sevens, things get a little out of control. There is the power of all the cards before it, including the lovers, which came before. There is momentum, but it must be harnessed. Thus the Chariot comes in, the harnessing of powerful, wild, and perhaps even dangerous forces. So the sevens relate to the Chariot. The sevens reflect the coming together of many, often contradictory parts. The light and dark sphinxes serve as the horses, but notice they're poised to pull in opposing directions. The driver wears the sun on his head, but also the crescent moons upon his shoulder, also depicting opposing forces. And yet the driver, the chariot, and the horses must all work in unison. 7 is about the bringing together of forces, often contradictory to one another. It is also a symbol of victory and success, albeit hard won. Nothing can get in your way, but you may have to stand alone, and you will have to take control. The 7 of Swords depicts a thief taking away 5 of 7 swords. The thief, looking over his shoulder, suggests treachery. It is a successful raid, but it also indicates something left behind. The querent should be careful of theft or loss. Being a sword card, this may likely be a theft of great ideas or inspiration. Just as swords are a symbol of power, their theft may indicate the loss of that power. Bearing in mind that 7 is a lucky number, however, and one of upcoming success with proper precautions, this may only be a minor setback. Or is the thief merely a watchful eye, seeing impending trouble, coming to protect what is his? Perhaps he is not a thief, but merely the protector of the swords. And this duality of meaning actually reflects the same message. Protect that which is yours. Do not let your plans, goals, dreams, and the items that you are depending upon to achieve those ideas and dreams be taken from you. Annoyance, hope, wishes, quarreling, disagreements of ideas, which may or may not become verbalized, are all encompassed in the 7 of Swords. The 7 of Wands depicts a man under attack. While he remains above his aggressors in an advantageous spot, he's outnumbered, and the outcome may be uncertain. But he stands his ground, prepared to weather the attack. Keeping with the meaning of the wands, this could be an attack upon something that the querent has created or built for himself, an idea or philosophy or a way of being. He must be aware of the challenges and the others who might stand in the way or seek to take it from him. The 7 of Cups depicts a man with options. Some appear good and some still mysterious. He stands there, his arms out in awe or surprise, but stationary, unable to choose. This is the torment of daydreamers. They see so many options and possibilities that it's nearly impossible to choose between them. This is an impulse that must be reined in. It is rooted in the idea of excess, having too much time, or a lack of a need for direction. The cups are full but cannot all be realized, and this causes stagnation, the inability to choose for fear of making the wrong choice. This card is a positive thing. It means the querent has options. However, opportunity may slowly drift out of reach if decisions are not made. It is a warning to the querent to focus on their desires, needs, wants, and yet to be realistic and honest with themselves, to make sound decisions, to pursue only the best, and leave the rest behind. This card can also encourage reflection, a looking at options and possibilities, seeing the potential in oneself and realizing all of the opportunities that are really out there. Why limit yourself? Remember, the cups are the suit of passions. They are meant to be explored and indulged in. Just don't let it get to the point of analysis paralysis, where nothing gets done because there's too many choices. And that's the warning of the 7 of Cups. The Seven of Pentacles, or coins, depicts a laborer, dissatisfied over a harvest or the yield from his endeavors. His patience may be wearing thin. He may doubt the value of his efforts or the quality of the fruits that his effort will bear. As a 7, remember that these cards signify the harnessing of divergent or challenging conditions. Clearly, the farmer faces doubts and concerns. But what can he do about it? He cannot will the plants to grow. He cannot get an early start for next year. He can only sit and wait, hoping and worrying. But does that make the fruit grow faster? The 8s. Let's go back to the idea of the 4 cornerstones. Now, we've got blocks above them, or we filled in the spaces between them. A structure is forming. Progress is being made. We have momentum. And one of the things about momentum is that it's very difficult to stop it. That's what the 8s and the card associated with it, strength, are all about. This isn't just physical strength. It's about the strength of will, determination, power through persuasion. Other people see the blocks being placed and they no longer question what you're doing. They accept it. They, too, begin to share your vision. They can see it, too. So they go along. And the strength card shows a maiden controlling a lion. Is that really strength? She isn't fighting the lion or killing it. It's a different kind of strength. So let's look at that. The 8s relate to the strength card. The strength card shows a maiden taming a lion not with physical strength, but with the strength of character, intuition, intelligence, understanding, and will. This is symbolic of resourcefulness, of harnessing the power we have to control our environment. Remember the chariot driver struggling to control the sphinxes or horses that were pulling in different directions? Well, with 8, we have mastered that accomplishment. We're no longer struggling to control the forces. We have the confidence, skills, and natural ability to do it intuitively, instinctively. And by doing so, we achieve harmony with our surroundings. Strength does not mean fighting a lion with your bare knuckles. As the card illustrates, the effect is far stronger than that. Which is more powerful? A lion destroyed in your clutches? Or one beside you, obeying your command? Your strength is more than your physical abilities. The 8 of Swords depicts a maiden bound and blindfolded, surrounded by the symbols of those in power, the swords. She is not tied to her position. She can walk, but she's surrounded by danger and cannot see the path out. These are the limitations we impose upon ourselves, our blindness to our own weaknesses and predicaments. Surrounded by our conflicts and crises and problems, when we second-guess ourselves or our own thoughts, we place a blindfold upon ourselves. We make our position more precarious than it needs to be. This card acknowledges our fears and inhibitions. It is a card of limitation. But as an 8, it also suggests a way out. But can we remove the blindfold? Can we continue on? This card relates to strength. So do we dare continue on our path, knowing the swords that surround us? Like the taming of the lion, this is not a test that will be won with pure physical strength, but with creativity, guile, wisdom, understanding. And do we face our fears alone, as we are? Or do we find the resources we need to overcome? The 8 of Wands depicts the wands flying through the air. Speedy delivery. What comes, comes quickly. It's an exciting time. Hold on to your hat. Brace for change. And with the association with strength, be prepared, too, for rapidly changing events that demand creative, clever action. Things may not land exactly where you expect them. Move quickly to weather the attack. The 8 of Cups depicts a man leaving cups behind, walking up the shoreline, perhaps having returned from a successful journey, now returning to a very different life. He heads off in the direction of the moon. Literally, this may refer to a walking away from vice or addiction, which is certainly a form of strength. He is walking away from something he felt passionate about. What would make him do that? Strength. There is something better out there, something worth pursuing, worth surrendering other passions to pursue. He seeks the unknown, forsakes the comfort of that which is known and pleasant to him. He seeks something greater than he has known, and leaves the comfort and contentment of his current life, leaves love, to seek out something greater. He has an idea in his mind, a plan, and yet it is not without sadness that he leaves the other things behind. The 8 of Pentacles, or coins, depicts a tradesman, a hard worker laboring over his work. This is another kind of strength, that of determination and steady endeavor. It suggests hard work, effort, the slow and challenging way to a comfortable life. He works alone, no one over his shoulder, content to focus on the object of his efforts. Concentrated, accepting. He is no longer seeking to impress rich financiers as he was with the 3 of Pentacles, nor is he holding tight to his hard-earned rewards as in the 4 of Pentacles. He is not enduring the great loss as he was in the 5. He simply works, does his job, accepts his situation, and realizes that hard work, not fortune, can bring him to where he wants to be. This card is about diligence and focus on the task at hand, not bragging or showing off, not hoping for something more, just a simple pride in your work. It's a reminder to pay attention to details, research, train, and do what is needed to excel. Nose to the grindstone. Achievement will not come from the recognition of others, but by the personal satisfaction of a job well done. The 9s. The 9s relate to the Hermit. The Hermit card depicts a wizened old man, alone, leading his way by a light, which, if you look closely, is actually a shining star, leading his way through the darkness. The Hermit is not hiding away. Although nothing surrounds him, the Hermit is out, searching, seeking, traveling. The Hermit represents peaceful knowledge. No longer fighting and struggling, the Hermit has found inner peace and understanding. He journeys alone, as he needs no other. He knows his route, he understands his life. This card represents peace and solitude, withdrawal, careful thought, organization, rumination, putting one's affairs into order. The Hermit may represent a wise or inspirational person in the querent's life, such as a friend, teacher, therapist, or mentor, someone who the querent usually sees alone. Perhaps other people in the querent's life do not even know this person, or know of them. The Hermit helps the querent to put things into perspective, helps them to find what they are seeking. The Hermit also indicates a need to be alone, a need to withdraw and be with one's own thoughts. The querent may be antisocial, or have a need for quiet time, for reflection. Perhaps the querent needs time to sort things through on his or her own, without the rush of outside influences. This may represent a time of great creativity or insight, as the querent allows themselves time for reflection and introspection, quite likely involving not a retreat from the world, but a personal exploration in other, new directions. It symbolizes the integration of all we have done and all we have achieved. The 9s are a number of completion. If you think to the metaphor again of a building, with 10 being the end of the line, 9 is pretty much complete. The main work is done. All that remains is the cleanup, the tidying up of loose ends. As we'll discuss in a bit, there's a reason that 10 isn't just the completion stage. That's because the ending of the endeavor is actually also a new beginning. So with 9s, we get the sense of completion. We get the rewards and sum up the costs of our endeavor. Perhaps we reflect positively on the experience. Perhaps we take on the hard life lessons about how to do better next time. Whatever the experience for the querent, the lessons and experiences to be drawn from the effort are now clear. The 9 of Swords depicts a man, wakened by a dream or startled, with great sadness and grief. 9 swords behind him on the wall, 2 going through his back, another slicing behind his head. Physical pain from mental anguish, disturbed thoughts, fears, failure, disappointment, deception, despair. This card suggests sleepless nights, worry about problems and fears that overwhelm you, the height of anxiety, being entirely self-focused and self-critical. But this card also offers a reminder to wake up. See the world as it truly is. It is not as bad as it is in your mind. The 9 of Wands depicts a wounded man, almost at attention, on guard, uptight and cautious, aware of those that may seek to wound him further. Yet he remains his post vigilantly, holding tight, not surrendering, not giving up. This is the last step, the last push. Whatever it is that the wands will bring to this man, he is there to see it through to the end. But he waits impatiently. This suggests delay or suspension, waiting. The 9 of Cups depicts an innkeeper with 9 cups set out for guests. This is a card of hospitality, generosity, both given and received. This is a card of attainment, receiving of good. As a cup card, the attainment and goodness received will be of a spiritual or emotional nature, possibly the support of friends or the discovery of something that moves your heart or your soul. It involves satisfaction of relationships, joy and camaraderie, creativity and happiness, both given and received. The 9 of Pentacles, or coins, depicts a woman tending a lush garden, in commune with nature. Like the hermit, she is alone, but unlike the hermit, she has surrounded herself with things of natural beauty. The goals of the Pentacle suit, health, luck, money, solid work, is achieved with this card. Not opulence or extravagance, but comfort that extends beyond the self. This card predicts a small paradise. It might be a car, a new home, a small indulgence that satisfies you tremendously, something which you might carry forward for much of your life, or perhaps the attainment of some sort of recognition that comes with a nice gift attached, such as the proverbial gold watch or a new office. The 10s. The 10s relate to the Wheel of Fortune. It is a circle, a return to the beginning, but carrying with it the past experiences of the previous cards. It symbolizes transcendental completion, not just the completion of the task, that is represented by the 9s, but the wrapping up of loose ends, tidying up and carrying on. The wheel also represents transition, movement, and change. The rises and falls that we experience in life. Don't assume through the 3s, 4s, 5s, and so on, going up to 9, that the end result is assured success. You never know. And so with 10 comes a replacement of the old with the new, a mastery of previous things, but with some parts of life being pushed towards the bottom and others being pushed towards the top in the ever-turning wheel. The 10s are a combination of 1, a new beginning, and 0, emptiness or nothingness. That's really a different place from the point where you can pause and say that completion has been achieved. So think of the 10s as both a time of closure, where you tie up loose ends, and also a time of new beginnings, where you are entirely open to new things, new experiences. Whatever responsibilities or obligations you faced in the past are now behind you, and the Wheel of Fortune continues to turn, deciding the fate of your new encounter. The 10 of Swords depicts a man, dead, swords in his back, blood spilled. Remember that the swords represent ideas of the mind and communication. They represent big ideas, large goals. In this instance, the card serves as a reminder that ideas, too, face death. There can be an end or inquiry or examination. There can be a finalization of a project, an end to a dream or an idea. Depending on its position within the reading, This card may also remind the querent that certain ideas, goals, or ambitions have already been explored and examined. It may not be necessary or wise to repeat old mistakes again. In terms of interpreting the card as involving murder, it may indicate that another person has killed one's idea, goal, ambition, or reputation. It can indicate that an idea has been beat to death, been driven into the ground. It may indicate that a new path, idea, or goal ought to be pursued, rather than lingering upon what is past. This card may also indicate pain, affliction, tears, sadness, loss, or desolation. The Ten of Wands depicts a powerful, broad-shouldered man carrying a burdensome collection of wands. He is in command, in charge, and with that comes the burden of responsibility. This is the burden of success. There is an indication that the man is working too hard, perhaps needing to lighten his load. Perhaps he bit off more than he could chew. Now might also be a good time to take on new endeavors, lest the querent remain burdened by his past. The querent can use this time to rediscover the joys that were once had in the querent's pursuits, before they became complicated and overburdening. The Ten of Cups depicts a celebratory scene. It represents stability of home life, bountiful blessings, and emotional well-being and fulfillment. It represents a happy home life or relationship with others, the attainment of purity and happiness through the integration of emotional experiences. This card suggests the querent has the instincts, control, and emotional maturity to handle situations. It predicts good times with those we love, holidays, reunions, special occasions. The Ten of Pentacles, or coins, depicts a scene of comfort and wealth. This is, in fact, sometimes referred to as the wealth card. With the pentacles or coins representing material possessions and then tens indicating completeness, we see a picture of harmony and comfort. Of course, everyone is sharing in the wealth or bounty, and this is also in the spirit of the pentacles or coins, the reminder to share and be generous, to create that goodwill and harmony, and even loyalty, as represented by the dogs in that image. Next, we look at the court cards. The court cards include the pages, knights, queens, and kings. Often, court cards will represent a particular person in the querent's life. When suggesting a particular person, the pages tend to represent children. The knights represent older youths, teens, or perhaps young adults, while the queens and kings represent male and female adults, respectively. Remember, though, that this is a generality. Pages may also represent a messenger of information. They are also aligned with the Fool, someone new to their element, immature in some way, perhaps eager and excited, such as a student or an apprentice. The knights may represent travelers or journeys. If this is the case, the queens represent creators and passion, while the kings represent level-headed managerial tasks. The pages. The Page of Swords depicts a young page who holds a sword in two hands, looking over his shoulder while walking swiftly. The swords represent information and knowledge, power, but this card is one which represents the cautious guarding, holding off of that power or knowledge, protecting it, rather than sharing it or bringing it forth where it can flourish, quite likely in a childish or immature manner. As such, the Page of Swords represents the cautious possession of information or knowledge or power which is not shared, a secret, perhaps, that is closely guarded, either by the querent, if he or she is indicated by the card, or else by someone else in the querent's life. This is not the mature acquisition and use of knowledge or power, but rather the petty, insecure possession of it, almost for its own sake, where it does no good. Perhaps someone has information or knowledge which they are holding back from the querent, information or power which could be used to help, but is being held back for petty reasons. The Page of Wands depicts a young man holding a staff, looking upon it, in the midst of a desert. The wands relate to travel, passion, and career, the many journeys we take in life. The Page of Wands may signify a message from afar about a trip, a career move, or something spiritual or philosophical. This card is packed with enthusiasm, perhaps even naivete, but it signifies entering into a new undertaking, a willingness to take risks, a yearning for adventure and excitement. When referring to a person, the Page of Wands may indicate a person who is full of energy, exploration, who has a need to seek out strange and exciting places, the desire to follow their minds and satiate their curiosity. They may be someone who is somewhat manic or excitable. Perhaps they enjoy being the center of attention. Or perhaps they enjoy being the center of attention to a charismatic leader. The Page of Cups depicts a fish jumping out of a cup, being held by a young, fancily dressed man. This card represents fresh emotions, newness of circumstances, creativity, gentleness, love, intuition, a childlike imagination. When referring to a person, this card represents someone sweet and kind, childlike in their innocence or emotion, which is to say almost over the top, with sweetness and kindness. Someone who emotes freely, someone empathic, who can truly feel the situation of others. The Page of Pentacles, or coins, depicts a young page holding a pentacle or coin in his hand, in a field, away from what may be an orchard off to the other side. Involving matters of wealth and long-term, hard-earned prosperity, the Page of Pentacles suggests positive time of growth, perhaps a new endeavor involving long-term prosperity, opportunity relating to employment or long-term happiness. This may be a large opportunity or something small, such as merely upgrading an existing asset or making an improvement upon one's land or property. When the Page of Pentacles indicates a person, it will be a child or childlike adult who enjoys fixing things, performing hands-on work. They are industrious, hard-working, understand the value of a dollar. As a child, they may seem strangely adult-like. As an adult, they may bring an unusual enthusiasm or eagerness to their work. Or perhaps they are involved in energetic, playful work that keeps them young at heart. The Knights. The Knights indicate the spirit of a teenager or young adult, ever moving, involved in constant change and development. The Knights also indicate purposeful travel, spreading of knowledge, and even engaging in battle. Oftentimes it is not a physical battle, though, and not necessarily even a mental one. It is important to remember that most of the time, knights are not involved in battle, but rather are used as a show of force, like muscle-bound peacekeepers. Their mere presence, the suggestion of potential action, may prevent an outright battle. Powerful and loyal, they may be full of energy, or calm, but always with a purpose and intent. The Knight of Swords depicts a knight charging rapidly, his weapon raised above his head. This card represents confidence, likely misplaced, skillfulness, capacity, vision, but also brashness and arrogance. The horse's frightened look should tell you all you need to know. This may not be the well-laid plan that it may appear to be. The querent may need to be reminded that perhaps the time to charge into battle has not yet arrived. Perhaps more information is needed, or more groundwork must be laid before taking a challenge head-on. When referring to a person, this is a teen or young adult, possibly too smart for his or her own good. It's the type of child who plays devil's advocate, or will argue for the sake of arguing. Although tempestuous in demeanor, the knight can be a good ally, someone who is clever, capable of winning battles with cunning and unusual tactics. The Knight of Swords is likely to be an advocate of free speech and freedom of information. The Knight of Wands depicts a knight traveling briskly through a foreign land, ready for action. Changes will be rapid and possibly even intimidating, daunting or frightening, and there will be times for taking action. When referring to a person in the querent's life, there is a charisma to the Knight of Wands. The center of attention, people adore this person. His or her goals and ambitions may be larger than life, full of excitement and fun. However, the Knight of Wands can also be bossy, overbearing, headstrong, or a risk-taker. He may not be reliable or timely to meetings. He is somewhat narcissistic and sometimes insensitive to others' feelings. The Knight of Cups depicts a noble, proud knight carrying the cup in a dignified and proud manner upon his journey. It may represent a young person with unique or surprising talents or skills. This person may have generosity, but this generosity does not come from a place of bounty, but rather of mutual nourishment. This is not giving for the sake of giving, but rather for the sake of support and encouragement. When indicating a person, the youthful knight, perhaps a teen or young adult, may be very lost in their own thoughts or ambitions. They may be dreamy or emotional, sensitive to themselves, self-aware, in tune with themselves. There is also a sense of escapism in the Knight of Cups. In the positive, this may be indicative of new hobbies or passions. In the negative, it may suggest experimentation with drugs or other reckless behaviors for the feelings that they provide to the individual. Remember, the cups symbolize the spirit and passions, and the knight is isolated on that journey. The Knight of Pentacles, or coins, depicts a stationary knight looking over a vast plain, holding a pentacle, an item of earthly value, while sitting atop a stout horse, seeming more capable of plowing a field than charging into battle. The Knight of Pentacles is slow, cautious, protective. He may need to be prodded into action, feeling more reserved and less inclined to take action. This suggests practicality and responsibility, perhaps even a maturity or wisdom derived from having to work hard to achieve what he has. When indicating a person, the Knight of Pentacles may reflect someone with a very deeply thought-out plan. Many ideas and activities, goals and ambitions laid out in something of a formalized process, to be taken step by step. This knight does not change course easily, but also may fail to recognize when changes in strategy or approach are necessary. The Knight of Pentacles or coins is also somewhat materialistic, and this may instill in him a very strong work ethic. However, this observation or interest in material things can also be his downfall or weakness. The Knight of Pentacles is also very serious and somber, and may take things more seriously than he should. He is also a protector of beautiful things. The Queens. The Queens refer to the Empress. They signify creative forces, that which nurtures and helps things grow. They signal a time for growth or development, the impending realization of our efforts as something soon to be tangible. The Queen of Swords depicts a confident queen seated upon her throne, sword upheld, a position of power and authority. This suggests a certain dominion over public life and ideas. There is also, however, a suggestion of sorrow, disappointment, pain in the past. This is a very intelligent woman, someone who communicates ideas, perhaps a lawyer, scientist, therapist, some presenter of ideas in one form or another. Someone who is able to weave herself through a variety of intellectual discussions or pursuits on a wide range of topics, intellectually stimulating. However, this queen is not the traditional idea of motherly. Instead, she is more firm and also more creative. Her power comes not from nurturing as much as from intellect. Perhaps the querent has some new idea or concept, belief or discovery that needs to be shared with the world. Or when this card refers to a person, perhaps she sees a person in her life who fulfills this role, has something to offer, some discovery, innovation, or idea that can help in her life. This may be a person who has gone through what the querent is going through, and can therefore offer the best advice. The Queen of Wands depicts a softer, gentler queen, with a flower in one hand and a cat at her feet. She signifies the development of a journey, a trip, a career, or a movement. She suggests a careful nurturing of a goal or ambition, just as a gardener would nurture a flower. The Queen of Wands is gentle. She may love children and be heavily involved in their lives, although she may also hover and be oversensitive and smothering. She is an inspiration to others. She gets things done, and she does them well. She is loving, honorable. She is social, dignified, proud, and capable. The Queen of Cups depicts a woman on her throne, at the edge of the sea, holding a chalice or cup which is flanked by two angels. We also see other angels, children or cherubims, depicted on the throne. Notice also the seashell above her head. This is a mystical woman of great intuition. She may have a sixth sense about others, and have the solutions to problems relating to family, friends, and love. She is quiet, self-effacing, sometimes can go unnoticed, but she also has a creative side and a spiritual side as well. At her best, she offers great emotional support and empathy. However, she is also capable of emotional manipulation and perhaps moodiness or depression. She finds strength in quiet reflection. She can be isolated, preferring her own private space from which to view the world. As a mother-like figure, she can be laissez-faire, allowing the children to be a little wild, but thinks about them constantly, is aware of them, and cares for them, whether they are her own children or just a friend who needs a watchful eye. The Queen of Pentacles or Coins depicts a queen sitting amidst a natural garden, overflowing with life. She is in a place of peace and contentment, not of lavish comfort, but of modest comfort and happiness, a place where she can reflect upon others and see their own worlds through her eyes. As relating to the pentacles or coins, she is at peace with material possessions, finds joy in what she has, shows thanks and reverence to those who have provided her with those things. She has found her success in life. Perhaps it has come to fruition, or perhaps it's only an idea in her mind. She finds comfort in her lot in life and excels in what, to her, may be mundane tasks or what may appear to others as drudgery. She is industrious, hard-working, and a bit of a perfectionist. She may find great pleasure in the outdoors and the natural side of life, nature and animals. She may shun creativity or imaginative people, preferring traditional or time-tested ideas, greatly valuing traditions and a sense of community. The kings are the passion, the driving force filled with energy, moving, leading, generating. However, while they are powerful motivators, they are men of thought and reason. They do not represent action itself, but rather the guiding force that leads to action. They motivate, they plan, they command. Thus kings indicate motivation, a beginning or a start of something. Kings stand for men or women who are leaders, planners, have high aspirations. They dream of having the best kingdom. They expect loyalty, especially from family and friends. They are people of influence and power. They are sought by others for their advice, and are usually very self-assured, confident in what they say. The King of Swords depicts a man on a throne, his sword in his hand, shoulders squared, an imposing figure. He sits in stern judgment. The King of Swords is like a judge, fair, impartial, loving and friendly, but distant, a man of ideals. He is smart enough to see both sides of an argument, but has strong beliefs that he expects others to follow. Ideals come first with the King of Swords. Everything follows from a rational viewpoint and his fixed beliefs. The King of Swords judges others, even those who are close to him. He has a sharp mind capable of seeing both sides, and oftentimes his decisions can seem unbalanced to someone who doesn't see or understand the depth of the circumstances, or the unique factors between one situation and another. Though he may be viewed as cold, distant, harsh, and even cruel, The King of Swords can clearly see how his decisions affect others in the present and the future. He is the one king to go to when making the hardest and most far-reaching decisions. The King of Wands depicts a king sitting comfortably on his throne, focused upon things in the distance. The King of Wands indicates that the querent or someone in his or her life is taking command, replacing the old with the new. Impassioned and noble, the king considers future events, perhaps a trip or the idea for a grand new career. Whatever it is, he senses the need to take command, overthrow the pre-existing powers to pave the way for something new, giving that new experience the place to grow, to stretch out to the horizon. The King of Wands is full of charisma, a teacher, lecturer, motivational speaker, full of energy, charisma, and fun, the type of person who others seek to follow for his vision and perception. But he doesn't have friends so much as worshippers. People love or hate him. He is inventive and fun, but he is the leader, and others who wish to support him must follow along. He does not stop for others who fall by the wayside. He does not consider them. He focuses on his goals. His followers follow him. And when that fails, the result can be violent. The King of Wands can inspire former followers or detractors to great hatred and animosity. But through it all, the King of Wands does not lose sight of who he is and where he is going, whether others seek to follow or not. The King of Cups depicts a man upon a throne surrounded by the sea. A surrealistic throne of a tiny patch of land, hardly large enough for his throne alone. The King of Cups has his struggles. He may be well aware of the tenuous position he holds, and yet he holds it with dignity and grace, commanding his space with no less power, no less dignity than any other king. The King of Cups suggests a man who fosters self-improvement and the betterment of all who surround him. He provides motivation and inspiration for others, not just to be in his kingdom, but to create kingdoms of their own. He is perhaps the ideal, loving, nurturing, supportive father, always placing his family and loved ones ahead of himself. However, he is not above fighting against those who cause injury to those who are near and dear to him. He is a godfather-like figure. He understands emotions and is the master of his own. And for this, he promotes civility and common understanding amongst others. He can relate well to others, understanding their situations and troubles, and he helps resolve them, and winning allegiance and respect more than love. The King of Pentacles, or Coins, depicts a strong, imposing man on a dark throne, his castle in the background surrounded by a lush garden. His demeanor is calm, lethargic, cautious. This is not a man of action, but a man of introspection. He is proud, self-reliant, confident in that which he knows. He has worked hard to reach his position and intends to stay in charge. He works hard and inspires hard work in others. He does not take excessive risks or chances. He plays it safe, cautious, and ensures that the job, whatever it is done right. Although he can be quiet and speak little, he is charming, and people eagerly listen to him when he speaks. His breadth and depth of experience means he can tell amazing tales, captivate an audience with his unique life experiences and encounters. He has a story about everything, but does not always speak if the moment does not arise. With his self-confidence, his assistance or advice must be sought or requested. And he will help, willingly, without asking for repayment. But when assistance is provided to him, he repays you as soon as he can. His ledger is clear. He does not like being beholden to anyone. He provides for those who are close to him, even sacrificing for them. He will stick with them through thick and thin as long as they do their best and do not deliberately become too great of a burden. As an exceptionally proud man, he is not one to accept embarrassment by anyone. Those who work for him appreciate his approval of their work, even more than what they are paid. This concludes our study of the minor arcana. Thanks for watching.